What is up, everybody? It is me, Duke Farley, back at it again here on Lost at Sea, and I am unfortunately joined here this evening by Mr. Keaton, the fourth person eliminated from season two of Ascendance live season two. Keaton, thank you for joining me this evening. Tough that it's this early on, but as always, thank you for joining me.
No, of course. And hey, someone had to go, right? Someone always has to go. It just so happened it's me. I enjoyed the experience full on though, so I'm just happy to be doing this no matter when it is.
Awesome, yeah. And I want let's just get right into it with your game and your like journey in Ascendance. I know, you've played a couple of times online and now, we see you here in the live format. Um, you were like one of the OGs, right? A season three player. And you came back for Ghost of the Past mini. So I wanted to ask you, you've been in the, community of Ascendance for a while. So you know a couple of people that were in this season of live, amongst other connections that you had. So how was that, balancing the people that you knew versus, some fresh faces?
Um, it was very interesting. I went into it hoping that I would know an amount of people and then realized I knew 2/3 of the cast. So that happened and I was like, oh dear Lord, this is not gonna be fun for me. Like there was a lot of people I recognized from people that I've played with. I think it was mainly just from Ghost of the Past, with Drew, Erica, and Jodely. Um, Along with a plethora of other people I knew from other means. Kennedy, Zoe, Wes knew of, but still we knew of each other. Other people, Hot Girl Chris, quickly forgets who was fully there. Definitely not looking up the cast real quick. No, definitely not.
Go
Um,
ahead, go ahead.
let's see. Carson. I knew of Carson before. Marvin. How the fuck did I forget Marvin? Um, and Taisha. Yeah, no, I knew of too many people going into this game. Um, but it was nice to meet a bunch of people that I've enjoyed through the past. Like that was just amazing within itself. But in the confines of a game, it was dangerous because a lot of those people knew how I function. I was just hoping that wouldn't be used against me and to be able to form the connections with people that I didn't know as well without that affecting me and me being the one that affects that no one else.
Did you find that, the people that you did know going into it, whether it be for, a previous org or however you knew them, did you find yourself like thinking about about that past experience and did that play into, your relationship with them in this season?
Um, for the most part, no. The one that was apparent is the one that constantly came out of my mouth. In Kennedy. I wanted nothing to do with her in the game because of the prior experience. I still knew I had to play the game, with her in it, but I tried to distance myself as much as possible. But beyond that, no previous experience really changed how I was going to approach someone. Um, it might change what I believe they're going to do as their next move moving forward, but not how I would try to communicate with them.
Understood. So the opening round, right? We find that, you are at the first elimination. And it seemed like for a little bit there, you might have been in trouble, and then kind of Ryan kind of takes the bullet there for the first elimination.
Yes.
Um, so how did that feel, the butterflies of the first vote, somebody has to go first, it's always tough. And then your name was out there a little bit.
Oh, the entirety of the first round was insane. I'm actually going to go back to the auction first because I have been watching. I have seen some people comment. I bought the bed immediately. I'm commenting on this goddamn bed because it's been a goddamn point of contention. I so we all got sequestered before, right? We all of us were shoved into different rooms. The Coliseum room was the one I got put into. So I already knew what I was dealing with. So when I found out that was a room, I bit instantly because that was the room with the most people in it.
It's
It was a
the edit
strategic
made
decision.
it seem like you were kind of like ostracizing yourself a little bit, whereas you were in a room that had a majority of the like the cast in it.
Yeah, no, straight up two whole ass bunk beds and another bed to the side that I think at night one had like 9 people in the room once everyone went to sleep. Which didn't happen till like 4 goddamn AM that night, but I knew what I was getting myself into, so I instantly wanted that, and it being the first item, knowing I had a crap ton of money, it was very easy on me. Camera, please stop, I beg. Camera, please. But I don't comment on that because I saw it. But fast forward to the vote. I felt I felt semi confident that I was good. I knew that my name was out there, and I was stressed about it because easily, like, given all of the things that went together for me, I wasn't feeling too confident going in. Like, yeah, I knew that the red team was going to stick together. We made the Maddie alliance. Like, I knew that I wasn't going to be worried about them going against me. I felt pretty confident on it. Um, unless like no name was thrown out the entire time, and then they had to go to someone. And I felt like if anyone lost the first challenge for us, it was me, because we couldn't find those 3 goddamn suitcases for 40 minutes. And it's because we didn't open the one thing, the only thing that we didn't check the entire time, waste bin next to the fridge. We just didn't check it. And I was the one looking for everything, so I felt like that was on me. So I was worried by that as well. But once conversation was happening, and especially when I realized that the other team, my name came up, but I knew there was enough people on the other team that wouldn't want to shoot at me, like, just because it's me. I realized the later it went that I was safe because of whatever conversation that occurred. I could not tell you how the hell Ryan's name properly came up, and I watched the episode. Like, I don't even know how that like properly came up at the end of it all, but I was fine by it because he didn't seem like someone I'd be able to work with in the long haul, and it wasn't someone from Red, and that was my main goal: make sure that everyone from Red was good because I liked them. But it was shown as well that if push came to shove, I would have jumped if Taisha was the push from the other side, just because I thought that was short term my biggest issue. But I didn't remember saying it until I watched it, and that was a very common theme for me throughout the entirety of watching these episodes. Because there was another, I think it was that same episode where it was myself, Hot Girl Chris, and Taisha had a conversation. I can't recall it even after watching it. I don't remember that ever happening. So the both during it and after feels like a fever dream. And I was stressed as all hell, but got out of it scot-free, so I was happy.
Yeah, you got out of it scot-free. And it's funny that you say that, because watching you and your confessionals and watching, you interact with like the cast during like the strategy portion, it's always very entertaining. But I could see where I could see what you're talking about in terms of, you know, how hectic it can be, like going from conversation to conversation, and you gotta like keep track of like what exactly you're saying to everybody and all that good stuff.
I'll tell you, I didn't keep track. I just kind of information just kind of went, and I just flowed. But the
Was
comment on the
that
other
like
thing,
a strategic thing for you, or is that just like how you are?
um, I a mix.
Mhm.
I think part of it was just if I know something and I trust that person, I'll just tell them, and then we'll see where it goes. Um, the other part of it is I have social anxiety, like major social anxiety. I've realized recently. So I think part of it was just coping.
Yeah.
So it was a mix of both. And the comment, the other thing you said, even with online games, I've been playing them for fucking ever. I've been doing that for like 4+ years at this point. Like I always just try first and foremost to be an entertainer. Like I understand what we're doing. We're putting on a show. We're trying to give a good watch for the people that care about it. And that's where my mind was at throughout the entirety of my experience. I wanted my impact on it to be enjoyable to watch, whether it was rooting for or against me. Just something that was fun to witness in the giant story that was Ascendance Live 2.
Yeah, 100%. And like at the end of the day, as a viewer, right, you you can have those characters that don't really do much for you. Like they're not really that polarizing. Like the characters that are often the ones that are like people refer back to and like later like analyzing stuff are the people that are like either you love them or you hate them. And polarizing. And I think you definitely were polarizing for sure. Very entertaining. I want to jump into the next couple of rounds. You end up, you win a team challenge, and then you aren't chosen on a team, but you are ultimately safe in voting in a round. When that was all going down, what did you think was happening when you weren't chosen for a team and then you did that rock draw?
Um, so the first time I thought very little of it, given the people that were choosing. Um, I wouldn't. I have not had the most that I did with Jake was vote for him round one strategically to try and gain a bond. Like not round one. After the auction, the first challenge. I voted for him strategically because he was someone I didn't know and wanted to try and make a bond, and I thought that was a good way to go about it. That's why I voted for both him and Wes. And I didn't expect him to pick me for a team, good or bad. We just didn't have a connection, so I didn't feel a reason. And with Kennedy, I just didn't think she wanted to expose any relationship we had, whether it was positive or negative. So I didn't expect to get picked there either. However, for the entirety, I was looking down. I think for every pick, the entire game, I looked down so no one would pick me. It didn't look like I was trying to signal one way or the other. I just looked away from everything. So the first time I wasn't really surprised, or I didn't care too much either. And when it came to the challenge, I didn't even want to. We found out what the challenge was, and I said, I don't want to do this. I was like, sit me out. No, I'm good. Thank you. Still had to listen to that story, anyways.
Yeah.
Because we find out the reason that the tiebreaker that we did what we did, that wasn't supposed to be the actual tiebreaker. It was supposed to be the sit out saying how many words were in the story, but no hate towards anyone, accidental production error happened for our team. Paul was asked instead. So that had to happen instead. They handled it really well, and we got a backup tiebreaker, which I almost fucked up the math for.
You did.
I didn't, but I don't. It wasn't obvious on camera, but I was like, this was me. This is like literally how I was holding the sign, and everyone saw it. I was shaking in fear that if I screwed up for the second time in a row for my team, I was toast just for that alone. So I was praying I got it right because I thought it was my life on the line in that moment. But then I fucked off into the sun for round 2. Round 3. Once again, Jake is team captain. Once again, I don't expect him to choose me for positive or negative reasons. So I just write that off. Zoe, I believe she might have wanted to pick me later on in the line, but didn't want to make it obvious that we had a positive working relationship, because we did. And we did the entire time, even when I do get voted out. But I believe that would have been, if everyone was picked on a team, I would have been later on in the line. So I think they were just waiting for a good time to slot me in to help them with their plan, whatever it may be. And then I saw that green ball, and I was like, okay, I'm good. The second I saw
thought that you were going to be safe at that point.
Oh, 100%. The second I saw that green ball, I was like, I'm literally not worried. I'm gonna go eat tacos while these people hold balloons. See y'all later. Like that challenge went on forever, but I enjoyed the tacos we had that night. Oh my.
Nice, nice. Always good to have a little taco break during a stressful situation, you know?
Oh, of
Um,
course.
of course. So you think you're going to be safe during the round, and it ends up that you are safe, and you're going to be voting.
Yep.
So that's a very advantageous position to be in. Um, did How did you handle that? Like, did you want to play more offensively at that point, knowing that you were safe, or kind of take a step back and let the people that were vulnerable kind of steer that vote?
I swung. I swung big that round. Because despite the fact that I wasn't technically on a team, six of us still weren't picked. Six of us still were completely left out. And looking at the people that were, I didn't exactly like that because they were all people I felt decent with at that point. So it felt off to me that uh, us got screwed, and especially for me not being picked twice in a row, I kind of used that as leverage to try and pull something off. It doesn't get shown, but the first thing I do is I go downstairs and I drag Jodalee and Hot Girl Chris with me. And we're in the hallway between the main living room in the basement, or the downstairs rather, and the Coliseum. And we very quickly look at each other and I say, I don't want a green to go. We need to figure out something fast. I'm pretty sure I say Christopher's name first. The other two agree. We understand each other. We're like, okay, cool, cool, cool. We leave, and that was the plan. From basically a minute in, my plan was to get Chris out of the game. And part of it was because throughout, as more people got out, balloon gate crap was already occurring, and people were already not happy with Melissa and believed that Chris was tied to it. I didn't really care if that was true or not. It just helped my position of not having someone that was green leave. So I just used that and ran.
It's interesting because during what the episode shows of Chris's elimination, he it kind of seems like his name's thrown out there. Well, not thrown out, but like we catch wind of Chris being an option within like the last like 5 minutes maybe of the portion, if it's 20 minutes of an strategy time. But it's interesting to hear that that was a plan that was rather early on in the strategy portion.
It happened pretty fast. I think only halfway through, um, Christopher catches wind that I'm one of the people that might be voting for him. So in a giant group, he comes up to me and just asks me straight up, "Are you voting for me?" And I own it and say, "Yes, I am, and here's why." And I told him exactly why I was doing it. I didn't hold anything back because it felt too early to lie. And he wasn't going to be on the jury, so I didn't feel a need to bullshit him. And I didn't believe he had a power. And if he did, oh well. So I owned it. And for the rest of the time, he's still trying to get me to vote with him because I think he believed that as long as I voted with him, we would be able to work together. And I personally believe that. I do believe I shouldn't have been, as hindsight 2020, but um I think being aggressive wasn't the best way to run that, but that is the way I decided to go with it. And I'm not mad with the decision at all because it's still a plan I was able to execute properly. The only thing that I had to damage control during that was Carson somehow believing I was voting him. Because he came up to me and was like, "Are you voting me?" It's like, I literally just stood in front of 8 people and told Chris I was voting him. How do you believe I'm voting you now? What is going on here? This round was also mental, but for a whole different reason. And the entire time I'm trying to get Erica to vote Christopher, not realizing how close they are, like the dunce cap I was. Trying to get Zoe to do it once again, dunce cap. Like my read at this point was just bad, but I was just too tunnel visioned on what I wanted to have happen.
So what specifically was the reasoning for Chris? I know you mentioned, not wanting to have the people that were not picked be voted, but Chris specifically, what was the reasoning for you going after him?
I felt like my weakest connection out of the group. And I felt like
Okay.
other people I had a longer longevity with. Also again mixed with the fact that people saw him and Melissa close, which that one I didn't believe, but I did run with it. Um, but it was those three factors together. I think honestly, the fact that he was least connected to me was the lowest thing for me. It was just I need to find an excuse to not go for a green and have other people be able to agree with it. And that was my entire thought.
And it was an interesting decision for Erica, who I thought I perceived to be a close ally of yours throughout the game. You mentioned it in this latest episode, that you were really close with Erica, and you were giving her a lot of information. It was a tough decision between Jodie and Chris for her because those were people that she was very close with. So she ultimately does vote out Jodie still, I believe, right? Um,
Yes, yes, she does.
and so you guys are on the opposite side there, but let's dive into this episode, this latest episode where you ultimately get eliminated, right? Um, and let's start off. I wanted to ask you first, um, the challenge, right? The captain's challenge where Melissa ends up winning. You're not like even chosen. Was you? It seemed like your strategy was, look down when people are like choosing who goes next, and like just like not pay attention to that.
The simply, I am not here. Please do not perceive me. Thank you. And amazingly, uh, that honestly, that was my biggest mistake the entire game, not reading into that more. I should have took that and realized no one really cares if I'm in power or not, because if they did, I would have had to play for my right to still be in this competition at least once. No one cared if I was safe or not. No one cared if I had power. That should have been my cue to just shut up. Like, that should have been it, because that shouldn't happen. Two people get chosen every round, and two people get eliminated every round. Like, I should have not had a coast to the final round, and I am that one thing I beat up myself over the entire game is just not looking into that, because that was such a huge flag to show where I was in that game, and I just didn't see it.
It seemed like that's a great position to be in that position where you're not getting like people are okay with you potentially being captain, or they're not kicking you out. They're not throwing you into the competition to be eliminated, right?
Right, and I should have read that. I 100% should. It was so silly of me not to. I think in the game I read it as something completely different. That it was once again, as I said before, ghost. No one can goddamn see me. So I just thought it happened once again where no one gave a crap. But I think I in the moment I just read it wrong. It was a much more positive thing than I could have possibly realized.
So you get wind that Melissa has won the comp. Well, I mean, she beat you in the final, right? So you saw it. And nobody cheers, right? So everybody really, I guess, wanted Melissa out at that point. Um, and so she's the one that's deciding the teams. How did you feel like once you were chosen onto your team? Like how did you feel overall before you were told that it was going to be like a double elimination? Were you like, I feel okay on this team, or did you feel in trouble?
I was confused. Just like a lot of people, I was just straight up like, what the hell is this? Like the second we were able to break off for a bit before the challenge, first thing I did was go to Melissa and was like, what is this? And she simply says, I fucked up. And I'm like, okay, great. That doesn't give me any idea as to what your mind was doing here, because this makes no sense. Like, there's no logic to it based on the information I have regarding her game. I thought I was good with her. Didn't really feel like it. So I was just so lost in it all. But I didn't feel too bad as far as my position was. I felt like there was enough people there where I could be fine. And before the individual safety challenge happens, right before it, I witnessed a conversation between Zoe and Jodie, and they agreed to not vote for each other. In that moment, I felt my options very quickly dwindle because I witnessed two people agree to not go after each other, especially after what just occurred. So I felt a little more scared walking out before I walked down the stairs.
So then it's like announced, all right, we're going into the challenge right like tonight. So you guys do this immunity challenge. And so at that point you would say that you were feeling like I gotta win this immunity right now.
Oh, 100%. Unfortunately, it was physical, and I am dog ass at anything that involves using my body. And um, I did the dumbest thing you possibly could in this competition: run as fast as you can back and forth forever in a competition where you need to hold water in a thing. It didn't work as I expected it to. And at one point, I poured water into Drew's bottle. With the cup, I poured a whole ass cup just in the Drew's bottle because I'm so disoriented. I move a whole ass row to the left.
So not only is Erica helping out Drew, you unintentionally are also helping Drew out.
Erica was different. I was just a clown.
That's so
And
funny.
immediately after the challenge ends, Thomas comes up to me. It's like, if you didn't put that cup into Drew, I would have won. Because they were neck and neck. Like after like the bottles, like this is the top right here. Like one more run and he would have had it. So Thomas blamed me for that 100%.
Okay, so yeah, so Drew ends up winning that. I wanted to ask you, did you notice in that time that Erica was also helping him out? I know a couple of people saw that. Did you see that?
No,
No.
absolutely. I couldn't even realize where I was. I was not paying attention to anyone else, and I didn't really care enough to pay attention to anyone else. I was doing my own thing and just waiting for it to be called whether I won or lost. I wasn't really paying attention to much else until I poured it into Drew's and realized, wow, I'm not doing well.
Like, wow, suddenly I have all this water in my bottle.
Yeah, I did not realize that Erica was intentionally trying to help Drew in that.
So Drew wins. So now you guys, the options are dwindled by one more. Drew is immune at your guys' elimination. So it seems like there's a lot of balancing going on between, there's the video that's playing for the competition that's going to be, further along in the season where just a random video that people are studying for. And then there's, the strategizing portion. So I wanted to get your take on that night. Like was there, did you have to balance a lot, and how did you feel like strategy wise?
We actually like finished the challenge fairly earlier than any of us expected. I think it was around like 9:30, 10ish. So everyone was going to be up for at least another 5 hours. So juggling, not really. There was still time to talk to the people that you wanted to before you went to bed. Obviously, talks about the vote were happening and people were paying attention to the video. I was the one person that was trying to make people believe that the video meant nothing. I believed it meant something the second I saw it, but I knew no matter how many notes I took, I wasn't remembering anything. So I was just trying to get as many people to think it meant nothing too. That was my only goal throughout all of that. And the only other thing that it did for me was during the video, we watched the first episode of, I believe, season 2 of The Genius. And the first challenge they play is food chain. During the auction, Christopher bought the Final 13 small advantage. They never said it was for a team comp when that was said. So with both of those together, I already assumed after Christopher saying that it was food chain, this just solidified that after this round we were playing food chain. So that was the only things that mattered to me. I wanted no one to do this, and we're definitely playing food chain. And I love food chain, so I was ready for that. And nothing else mattered to me regarding that video. Literally not a damn thing.
Yeah, I remember you saying that the competition was going to be food chain in the episode. Always an Ascendance staple. Love food chain, love hosting it. You can usually find me in the sky. But anyway, so the strategy portion though during the night. So it seems like you guys have I don't know if it ever ends the night strategy, but there's a 20-minute portion in the morning where you guys can strategize. How did you feel going into the vote? I know that you said, in one of your confessionals that Thomas was the easy outlier for you, that it seems simple, but is it really that simple? How did you feel like with your positioning?
I felt fine. Oh, I 100% thought that it was going to go through. Because last night I told people that I wanted to do Thomas. By the end of the night, it was already solidified. It was on me. Like before everyone went to bed, it was basically in stone that it was me. I had no clue. Even to the point where Zos, before we went to bed, said that she would consider voting for Thomas. And in the morning, the first thing she said to me is that she would be okay with it. Like that's how far they were selling it for me. They did not want me to know that this was happening at all. And I felt confident the entire time to the point where Thomas and I were bullshitting each other that it was going to be Erica when that wasn't the case at all. Like it was full, like all of it was just everyone was acting just for a different reason. And I didn't read into it at all. And I thought I was perfectly fine. Because I had conversations.
It was a true blindside then.
Oh, I said it in my exit. It was a blindside in its truest form. Yeah, I had not a goddamn clue. Like not at all. At all. Like it was beautiful. Like was I salty in the moment? Fuck yeah. But looking back, like these are a bunch of people I respect as people and as players. Like I can't be mad at it at all. At the end of the day, a game, someone gotta go, and someone tripped on their own words. It's an easy out at the end of the day. Like I can't be mad at it. And Erica didn't call it even when I was talking to her all night. I was talking to her till 3 a.m. We were watching that video forever. We were looking for advantages that other people realized that we were doing. And I will say what the only time I realized that it might be me was when Zoe walks out after doing her vote and she's crying. That's when it like hits me. It's like, oh no, it could be me. I still wasn't fully convinced that it was just me, but if I didn't watch,
you're like, why is she crying?
Oh yeah, 100%. I was like, that's weird. That I don't like that. That doesn't feel. I don't believe she'd be crying for Thomas, unless I'm missing a piece of a puzzle that I have no goddamn idea about. Um, which is why I say what I say in my vote. Watching that is the only reason I even believe it could be me. Before that, I had not. I had the utmost confidence that Thomas was leaving, and it was just going to be a done deal.
When a blindside like that happens, where it's a true blindside, like you say, as in your exit, I can imagine that the initial shock is like, oh wow, they got me, right? Um, but would you rather it be like a true blindside like the way that you went out, or would you rather somebody give you a heads up like, hey, I don't think things are going in the right direction. It's going to be you.
If it's just them doing it for courtesy, I'd rather not know. If they're doing it with the intent of trying to save me, then fine. The game's being played and we're going to continue. But if they're doing it just for the sake of doing it, I don't really see a reason for that. Like unless I'm asking them, like what happened with Christopher to me. If I'm asking them if I'm the vote and they tell me, that's one thing. But if they just come to me and decide to do it, it's like I'm not even on the jury. There's no management here. Like just let it happen. Let me look a fool, please God. It will feel better for all of us.
Okay, so let me just pivot off of that one more time and say it is jury time, right? And you and Erica are in the same position at this point. Would you rather, Erica, somebody who is your close ally, be like, yo, Keaton, they got you, or would you rather it just still be a blindside?
I think at that it changes once we hit jury because the game's been played for longer, and two, I like if Erica knows that there's nothing I can do, especially if she knows that I don't have anything, I would much rather it be like, yeah, it's your time, than it be a blindside because I would be really confused as to like, especially if everyone does vote me. In this case, Erica didn't, but she knew what was happening. like if everyone knew it was happening and I left, I would be really confused once I found that information out. It's like, I thought we were good. Why didn't you at least let me know? But in that case, I didn't really care because this was literally an hour in to day 2.
Yeah.
I didn't care. Oh no, I got lied to. The game is still like the game is still forming into what it's ultimately going to become. Like I'm just a casualty before the storm that is clearly coming.
Right. Um, Looking back at the episode, and seeing all the confessionals and seeing, the formation of, that four-person alliance, do you think there's anything that you really could have done to save yourself at this point? Or do you think once that formation of that alliance happens, it's kind of like, I'm kind of fucked here?
Um, I so Zoe's one of my closest friends, and um, a after the game, I talked to her, and she said to me that if I didn't um say Thomas's name, I would have been fine. If I didn't say a name, period, I would have been fine and pulled in at the very least to be informed that Jodely would be the vote. They were wanting to go for Jodely again. But for me, especially witnessing Zoe and Jodely agree not to vote for each other, I thought that, see, given all the information I have, there was only one choice, and I wasn't quite keyed into the reality of the situation, especially given how it looked like I was fighting for Jodely to stay the previous round. It didn't look like that given my actions, I'd even consider it, which
Right.
I would have. Jodely's a rat. Love Jodely. I absolutely, I must say, like, love Jodely as a person. Every conversation I have with them is wonderful. Like, fantastic individual. In a game, rat, snake, every form of venomous creature that is coming for your ass. Lie through their teeth just for the hell of it. And the amount of times I've watched Jodely hold someone's hand when it's known lies. Oh my! I
Jody loves to
can't.
do that. Jody loves to do that move with the hold in the hands and then
Really good at these games. Pain in the ass to play with.
that's so funny. Um, so before I ask you the great question at the end that I ask everybody, I wanted to ask you, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to talk about regarding your game up to this point?
Um, I don't really think that there is much. I think the only thing I just want to comment on is like just how stressful it was. Like I thought after doing one and being under immense pressure, and at the end, like during the penthouse after the first night, straight up crying for 15 minutes straight. Um, I thought I'd be able to handle myself. I couldn't go an hour without the exact same thing happening again. All 18 of us were in the downstairs main room, and we were just all getting to know each other, throwing icebreaker questions out to get an idea of each other as more as like a get to know you. And through that, I was getting extremely emotional. And during that, I was recalling my mother who passed away of leukemia. Um, and from what I've been told, uh, she and my father enjoyed reality TV in general. Um, so for me, part of being able to do these is just like having her still be a part of my life in some way. So during that, I walk away from everyone and just go outside and let myself have a cry because it was a lot. Like there's so much going on, but I didn't want to make it a game thing. But I also realized that I'm going to have to explain to people why I just walked away, but I didn't want to do it in a big group. So throughout the entire time I'm there, both in the game and once the game is finished, I'd make sure everyone knows why I did that. Because at the end of the day, these are all people. These are all decent people that I respect and people that were helpful to me while I was there. Um, and help exactly with one thing though. And I just really wanted them to know the truth and not try to make it a big thing. Um, Going off of that, from somber to I'm an idiot. Um, So these people are great. I must say, I enjoyed being out there with all of them, especially when I was the truest clown. There was like 2 days after the game where we were just all chilling, like everyone was just vibing. We went out to a restaurant. And we went out several times. I didn't have my wallet this entire time. I lost it. Lost it.
Oh,
I don't
damn.
know. I don't know where it is this entire time. And it got to the point where I was talking to a bunch of people, including Erica. Like, I don't know how the hell I'm gonna get home at this point. The last day, like in the middle of the day, I grab my jacket because it's March. It's still really cold in New York. And I reach into the pocket just because. Wouldn't you know it? My wallet's there. Because before we went to the house, we went to Walmart quick to grab anything any last minute thing that we might want, or like snack food that we might want while we're there. I tied the jacket around my waist and put my wallet into the pocket and forgot I did it.
Damn. That's
For
always
like
the worst.
for like 5 days straight. Those are just two things I wanted to comment on. One, just emotional, and two, I'm a moron. Uh, and all these people, they were all great. Everyone was helping look for it. Like prod and player alike. Like everyone was fantastic trying to help me with it. And it turns out I was just the biggest clown of them all.
That's always the worst when you're like, oh, dude, I lost my keys. I lost my wallet. I don't know where my phone is. Can you call it? And it's like on your in like in the place where you left it last. Like,
Exactly.
um, yeah. Well, at least you found your wallet. Um, but Keaton, the last question that I have to ask you is, what was your favorite part of the entire experience?
I alluded to this a little bit before we started this. So like I said, after we had a couple days this chill while confessionals were happening for everyone. And a lot of us went to a restaurant. And I made it like before we went out, Erica and I agreed that we were gonna go to the restaurant and we were gonna get drunk.
Hell yeah.
So we immediately start looking at the drinks. Mind you, I don't have my wallet. Like there is a reason I brought that up. I don't have my wallet still. So I forgot to get this up until I'm about to order, and I'm like, I look at her straight. I was like, oh my god, I was gonna get alcohol, but I don't have my wallet. She looked at me, like the waitress looked at me and said, "No, you're fine. You're 21. You're good." And, and Eric, I don't remember what we drank at all. It was some fruity shit that was fantastic, mind you. Like it was really good. And Eric and I just started drink. I don't remember a lot of the conversation that happened during it. I just remember laughing with her the entire time. I my favorite moment was just being able to meet Erica. Two people, Erica and Zoe, but Zoe I've been close with for a while, and this just solidified how close we were, and I will always appreciate the friendship that I have with her, and she's been great to me after too. We've had a lot of good conversation that's been very helpful to me, and my friendship to her I will always not understand, but I'm forever grateful for. It's the same thing with Erica. That's my big sister at this point. Like I don't talk to her a whole hell of a lot, but when I do, I know I can trust her. And it was through that experience and just being able to meet her for the first time that really solidified it. And that will really be my favorite moment, like being able to solidify a relationship that through it all, through screw the game, just is very happy that I have now in my life. And not just that, but like almost a lot of people that like Drew I got to meet, like I enjoyed him for a while. Glad I was able to do that. Carson and Eric, fantastic individuals. I don't talk to them a lot, but I enjoy them. I'm once again looking at the cast. Do not mind me. Definitely not. Taisha recently played an online game with her before this. She was fantastic, and in person, all even better. Honestly, like another person that I don't really keep in contact with, but absolutely adore. Marvin, same thing. Like all the like Melissa, slight misunderstanding with her throughout everything, but she's absolutely, I adore her as well. Jake was fantastic for reasons I can't disclose. Non-game things I can't disclose. Hako, Chris, another person. I just have love for every single person in this
The
group for
list
one
goes
reason or
on and
another.
on.
It's literally like I could just keep on going. Um, and then also Jodely. I've already said it him, so I'm gonna shit on him.
Go for it.
But I just meeting those people were fantastic, but especially Erica and Zoe. Like it being able to meet everyone, like so many people that I've played games with and just had conversations with online, being able to be in their presence for a week, I wouldn't trade that for anything. And that includes Prod, not everyone I can remember, but Mark, Stephanie, obviously, Nicole, Papa, and Maddie, Jabbar, um, Dylan. God, if I don't
Shout out
remember
Halloween.
if I don't remember someone, it's just because I'm forgetful. I've already looked at the cast twice, mind you. Um, but I enjoyed everyone there, and I'm just so appreciative that I was able to experience and thankful that I was a part of this cast to begin with, no matter what my end result was. It was a fantastic experience, and I know season 3 apps have closed, but the next time apps come out, I suggest to anyone that has the opportunity to play, because this is an amazing experience.
That's awesome. And Keaton, thank you so much for coming on. I know it's always fun watching you, play. I did watch a couple episodes of your season of the Penthouse, and obviously I've watched everything this season, so it was always fun watching you be electric out there. And that being said, I don't know when I'm going to post this exit interview, but if you're watching this, make sure you tune in to Thursday Ascendance Live, whatever episode is next, to check out what happens next. And with that being said, thank you, Keaton. Always great talking to you, man.
Thank you.